It's called first weekend, second weekend, Final Four. We rattle off 4 teams, and you and I debate whether this team's going to go home in the first weekend, whether they make it to the second weekend, Sweet 16 or Elite 8, or if they've got what it takes to go all the way to Indianapolis and the Final Four. So let's start with maybe the hottest team in the country, and that is the 5th-ranked Florida Gators. Brad, they could still have a chance to get that final 1 seed. It's going to come down to them in UConn, but where do you think the Florida Gators end up this year in March Madness?
2 seed, 1 seed, doesn't matter. Final Four all day. In fact, I got a ticket on them. I placed about a month ago at 14-1 to win back-to-back natties. This team's a wagon right now. They're just rolling over and blitzkrieging everyone. Last 30 days, the Gators number 3 overall at Bart Torvik in terms of the efficiency data, number 22 in effective field goal percentage offense, number 5 in effective field goal percentage defense. They have the best front court in college basketball. With Ruben Chenyulu's got a pair of 20 rebound games this season. Thomas Hawk, I know he's been a little bit banged up, but he should be back here in short order. And Alex Condon, and the guard play is really elevated, man. Boogie Flan, Xavier Lee become more reliable. They've gotten good depth as well. They've added some key pieces, some guys getting some critical minutes off the pine. They don't have any weaknesses. I'm dead serious, folks. 0 weaknesses right now. Just stay healthy, and Florida's going to make it back to the Final Four, and a very good shot of cutting down the nets yet again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Whether it is the 1 or the 2, they're probably going to be in UConn's region. And if they played each other right now, I know the Huskies beat them earlier in the season. I think it'd be a much, much different story this time around. You mentioned Hawk, Condon, and Chenyulu. You know, Boogie Flan is starting to come on and do a little bit more scoring here later in the season. He hasn't shot in the 3-ball well at all, but, you know, even then he's still able to chip in with getting to the bucket and being able to drive. And this team, I mean, they're just a machine. They're a machine. For a team that doesn't shoot the 3-ball all that well, Brad, only 31%, they'll play at a breakneck pace, and they will rip you up in transition like it's nobody's business. You know, for a team that, again, 31% from 3, they're not that great of a free throw shooting team either, only 71%. But, man, they hit their 2s. They get easy buckets. They can run, and they turn defense into offense better than just about anybody in the country. So I agree with you. Assuming them and UConn are in that same region, I don't think Florida's losing before the Elite 8. And if they play UConn in the Elite 8, I think they beat them by double digits. So I agree with you. Gators back to the Final Four. All right, let's go with a team that, honestly, after watching the first couple of games without JT Toppin, I thought they maybe could have won a national championship with them. But torn ACL, that's not the case. They also came back down to earth, losing to TCU in their last game at home. Texas Tech Red Raiders playing without their best player, a 20-point, 10-rebound per game guy. Where do the Red Raiders end up this year in the big dance without their best player?
I think they're a second weekend team. I don't have supreme confidence in that. The reason why I feel any kind of confidence they're going to reach and taste some sweetness this season is the fact, offensively from outside, they're just money in the bank. I mean, over the last 30 days, they're shooting 41.7% from way downtown. Atwell and Christian Anderson are gunners, and they're very accurate. They are always knocking down those bullseyes and pretty damn good in their perimeter defense as well. Same span last month, 28.4% is all they have allowed along the arc. So those are like saving graces. But the issue they have is self-inflicted wounds, man. They just fire guns into the foot. The turnovers have really mounted. It's been problematic. Last 30 days, are number 300 in the country in turnover percentage offense. Are coughing up 18.5% of their possessions. And the D has underwhelmed slightly. They're not nearly as strong with JT Toppin on the floor, so that is another area of concern. It's all about draw, as you and I know in the NCAA tournament. So as long as they don't face a strong on-ball pressure defense, the first 2 games of the big dance, they will reach the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I just, man, I got so excited for this team after they beat Iowa State in Ames, over the weekend. And I tweeted, and I had a bunch of Red Raiders fans commenting. I said what I just said before. Damn shame that the Red Raiders lost JT Toppin, because I think they could have won the national championship if they had him. And a bunch of Red Raiders fans, we still can. You don't believe? Oh, we already played the tournament? And then you'll turn around and you lose at home to TCU. I don't know, man. I really like this team. They're really well coached. They play good defense. I just got a bad feeling that if they end up as what you said, they're going to right now on your bracket big board, they're what, a 4 seed still?
4 seed, yep.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling they might run into a team like the Yale Bulldogs, who I love, who I'm very high on.
Oh.
And even then, a 4-5 matchup in the second round against a team that is fully healthy, it just spells bad news for me. So I think they're going out in the first weekend, unfortunately. It's a damn shame. Damn shame. Because I think they could have gone to the Final Four with JT Toppin, but I just don't think Texas Tech has the horses to make a deep run in March. All right, let's get to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, a team that got off to as hot of a start this season as anybody. Then they cooled off. Now they've gotten kind of hot again here, Brad. They've won 3 out of their last 4. They did just get crushed by UCLA on the road, but that's always tough, that back-to-back West Coast trip for these Big Ten teams. They finish off with Monty's Hawkeyes on Sunday, but they are number 9 in the country. Where do you got the Huskers going this year in the big dance?
Yeah, they're likely going to be probably a 3 seed, maybe as low as a 4. We're going to see what they do in the Big Ten tournament. Could be as high as a 2 if they can really start racking the win. So wide variance for sure. I fired off a ticket on them back in early January, 50-1 to win the national title. I'm going to have to roll and smoke that bad boy because I'm not sure they're going to survive. Even the first weekend, they're going to be lucky, I think, to make the Sweet 16. So I will say they do. Kiss a lucky shamrock and do reach the Sweet 16, but that is it for me. They're only number 53 in Bar Torvik over the last 30 days in overall efficiency. Offensively, they've really started to come back to reality. Not inside, where they're shooting over 56%. It's outside. They're only shooting 31.1% from distance. So Jamarcus Lawrence, Hoiberg, and friends, they got to start firing and really start knocking down some of those triples. Very good defensive team, both inside and out, especially outside. But turnovers are also a major plus. They apply that on-ball pressure. But, man, I just worry about the offense right now. They're in a bit of a funk. So if they don't snap out of it, they're going to be lucky to win a game. And remember, folks, this Nebraska program has never won an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, and something tells me they win 2 this year. I think Nebraska can go to the Sweet 16. And look, they started off 20-0. Now they're 5-5 in their last 10. 3 of those losses. 1, they took Michigan down to the wire, led for most of that game, and then couldn't hold on. Still only lost by 1 possession. When your ILL were on an absolute heater, they did lose to them at home, but by 9. And then they lost to Purdue in overtime. Now, again, they lose to Iowa on the road. They get smoked by UCLA on the road. Now, son, like you said, that 3-point shooting has really gone in the tank. But something tells me that this team, after they play Iowa, they play the Big Ten tournament. They've got a little bit of time to regroup here. I trust that this team is good enough to win 2 games. If they're a 3 seed, they can beat a 14. They'll handle their business. And then if it's a 6 seed, I think that Nebraska can get by them. And then they probably get smoked in the Sweet 16 by one of the top 8 teams in the country. But I still think Nebraska is good enough to win 2 games. So I'll go second weekend for the Huskers. And then finally, the Iowa State Cyclones, Brad, here. Got to be a little bit quick here. Where you got the Cyclones going? They were red hot. They have fallen off a little bit lately.
Yeah, only a second weekend team, and they may be fortunate to get there. Really excellent in terms of turning teams over nearly 20% of the possessions the last 30 days, but they are ice cold from outside, only shooting 27.2% here the last 30 days. So you got to kind of recalculate what the upside really is with this Iowa State team. Has not played all that well on the road. So Sweet 16 only, second weekend only. That is it.
Yeah, I'll say Sweet 16 as well. I think their floor is still that of, not getting beat by a 7 or a 10 seed in the second round, or even if they end up slipping to a 3, I don't think they're getting beat by a 6 seed. Again, it's, what is this team away from home? Like you said, we've had question marks about that all season. So sooner or later, I think those blemishes and their offensive droughts that this team often finds themselves in, it's going to ultimately cost them against once, just like Nebraska, it's going to end up costing them against an elite team. And I think they'll get to the Sweet 16. It might be a quiet exit after that for TJ Otzelberger's squad.